guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we're talking about the bags that people say they like versus the bags that they actually buy. So if you're new here, my name is Katherine and I work in the luxury resale industry. I give insights from on the ground, working with buyers and sellers. So if you have any questions or would like to know anything further specifically about the luxury resale industry, I've worked in resale for almost 10 years now, and I give tips, tricks, and insights into it. Comment below if there are any bags that you find people asking a lot or that are super popular. I'll let you know if people actually buy them when it comes down to it. So in working on the ground, I can tell you that there are bags that people think they like, but when it really comes down to it, no, they don't. These are bags that are super popular. These are bags that maybe all the bloggers are wearing. People don't actually buy these bags. I find it super weird, super particular, and here's a list of some of the ones that I see people like all in a huff calling in a frenzy to ask for, just for them to sit on the shelves for months on end. So these are going in no particular order, but I'm going to start with the Lady Dior. Now, this bag is a classic. It is very popular. It has been made since 1993 and it's named after Princess Diana. Now, this is a staple to the fashion house. It's one that is, you would think, very popular. I feel like people do have this bag, but on the resale market, they don't hold their value like at all. There hasn't been like a huge variance in these styles, and you can get a pretty decent deal on a great condition vintage one on the pre-love market. The exact retail price escapes me in this moment, but you can find them for almost half that a lot of the time. The people who actually do want the Lady Dior bag, they don't want to pay close to the retail price. And a lot of people who are selling them, because they do have a high level of notoriety and popularity, think they're going to get a lot more than they actually do. Another crucially important thing about Dior is that Dior doesn't have the same level of scarcity as some of the other brands like the Chanel's, like the Hermes, even certain Louis Vuitton pieces for a while. I'm tempted to say generally that there is a lid for every pot, so to speak, when it comes to buying Dior. Anyone who has the amount of money to walk in to purchase a Dior piece pretty much can expect that they can complete that transaction online or go to the store and it'll be ready available for them in the size and exact color that they're looking for that season. That's not really the case with Chanel and Hermes. Lady Dior on the resale market, now people do buy it. I do find that the more popular size currently is the mini size. What you find more on the market, because it was made for a longer amount of time, are the medium and small size of the Lady Dior, and what's very popular now is the mini, because that's just the way of the world currently. Outside of the like resale market as a whole and how much people are willing to spend, I do find that a lot of the time I just personally don't find the bag to be very practical, and I don't find the bag to be very practical. I don't love the closure, and the handles absolutely throw me. I'm not a fan personally, and I think that that also goes into people's buying decision when it comes to the resale market. Next up, I'm sure you guys knew this was coming, Bottega. Now, the truth is, it's really Bottega anything, but the people who love the current style of Bottega, for some reason, they only want to buy it at retail price in the boutiques. On the resale market, they only really seem to go if they are a much better deal, and a lot of the time, because they are still so popular and so hyped, people don't want to let them go necessarily for very low, which is why a lot of the time they just sit on the shelves. The people who have them and want to sell them want to get top dollar, but the other end of the market doesn't want to spend top dollar, because once again, they can go pick one up at their local Saks, Neiman's, or BottegaVeneta.com. So I'm going to talk specifically about the Mini Jodi. This bag, personally, and in a second we'll be setting this aside, because my personal tastes are not necessarily relevant. I hate this bag. Now, the reason I don't like this bag is because the handle is very short and it's too close to the actual zipper opening. Now, it doesn't fall to the crook of the arm, and it's one that you have to actually carry in your hand, but when it does come time to actually like get into it, you go to open the zipper and then the strap, like you have to pull it open and the strap kind of gets in the way of actually seeing what's inside, and you're kind of like maneuvering around in the dark. That is mainly only a factor in the mini size, but that unfortunately is the most popular. So what happens a lot of the time is that one person will buy this at full retail value, realize that it's really fussy and poorly designed, then go to sell it, but because they're so popular, they want to get as much money back as absolutely possible, so it's priced close to retail, and the people in the resale market, they want a deal. So a lot of people think they like this bag, but for whatever reason they haven't interacted with it either, and when they finally do see it in person, we'll say it can be somewhat underwhelming. Now I want to say that we are at least coming up on like year 5 since the Dior saddlebags resurrection. I'm gonna have to look and see if that's right. This is one that we get calls about. It's one that people come in looking for, and they love it in the monogram print as well as like some of the leathers. Now, there's 2 camps of people who like the Dior saddlebag. There are the vintage people and there are the brand new people. So the people who like the bag, the newer style iteration of the bag, that one, the main difference between the vintage ones and the new ones, besides condition and you know the collection and everything like that, is that the clasp is magnetic instead of, I think it used to be Velcro. And so they're looking for a new bag and like the newer styles. Excellent condition, comes with a box and everything, but once again, this one is very handily and heartily available to shop from Dior.com, etc. It's my experience basically that these will sit on the shelves at way too close to the retail price and people will pass them by. Also, it doesn't help because once again, this is not about my own personal taste, but the bag, it's impractical. It's impractical, the design is weird, but for whatever reason it has a huge cult following thanks to Sex and the City and its legacy, I guess. I'm not a personal fan, this is not the point of this video, but it isn't practical, and what I've said before is that practicality and usability are 2 things that are going to impact whether or not people actually go in and pull the trigger on the purchase. The other side of this are the vintage people. The vintage people, even when we do have the vintage style bags, they want like bottom tier, like eBay thrift store prices on the Dior saddlebags. The people who are willing to spend, I don't know, 2,000 plus on the Dior saddlebag, they don't want vintage. That's not of interest to them whatsoever. Like, you have to be a very specific person to like vintage. I know that because I like vintage. But I would say that generally vintage people don't tend to want to spend top dollar, even if something is very special. I would say that the pricing on the vintage bags has definitely come down in the past 2 years or so. There was a point where the vintage ones were selling for like up to like, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000, and now I would say that they are like barely getting above like 1,300. It definitely varies, but anywhere from like 700 plus is kind of where they are now. Now, the reason I say that is because I don't want you guys to forget that this market goes wild with demand. It goes up and it can go right back down. In 2015 or 2016, I could not sell a Dior saddlebag for $60. That experience has wiped away my faith in the handbag and resale market because I see it at all levels, and what goes up can also come down. Now, it is a pretty similar story to the Fendi baguette. Fendi, I would say their resale value is, I mean, maybe a little bit better than Dior's, but that's only because I think at the retail level, Fendi is less expensive than Dior. But the baguettes, once again, the vintage ones, while they will be purchased, they came in so many like different iterations and styles that it has to be one that's like, how do you say, like, not awful. A little bit more mainstream in style, I guess. They do really like the more simple styles or the Zucca print. This one has been re-released, but it's been remodeled, so it's a little bit more modernized, but the price on those is like super, super steep. To get the newer version is like 3,000. You'd think that maybe finding a vintage one at 1,000 would be like a better ask, and it turns out it isn't. The people who like vintage, like vintage and they like vintage prices. If you do have a vintage Fendi baguette that you're trying to sell, like, I mean, I think generally there's still decent money to be made. Just don't get carried away. This one, we're gonna do some exceptions, definitely. These are the teeny tiny little mini bags. I see them all over Instagram. I actually see them carried around here where I live. I live in Miami, and there's tons of designer lovers here walking around all over the place. So people carry the mini bags, but on the resale market, they do not want to buy them. Okay, I have always said this, and thankfully I have mostly been right. Like, people do still like practicality, and they do still want the bag to actually function as a bag. Even if they want a small one, they do still want it to hold their phone at bare minimum. A bag that fits nothing inside doesn't serve a lot of purpose to the person buying it. And the people who are willing to not only pay for but carry around a bag that has no actual functional use, there are not so many of them. Go figure. And for the bags that people don't buy, I mean, I would be loath to say Hermes quota bags, and also now classic flaps, because we live in a world where they now retail at roughly the same price. Hermes bags, I think mostly people want them and they'll call and ask for them and they'll be impressed when they see them, but people really don't see them so much out in real life, so they don't see them to interact with them. I think they have like an idea more so that they do want one because they are highly coveted and highly exalted. But when it actually comes time to fork over the $7, $9, $10, $15, $20, $25,000 that it may require to get one, they're a little bit hesitant. Go figure. I think this is especially true of the Mini Kelly. There aren't so many of those out there on the market. So even people who do know Hermes pretty well and have known it over the past 10 to 15 years, even they may not have come in contact with and really interacted with the Mini Kelly, because it is a pretty mini bag. It does fit a phone, unlike, you know, from my last segment. But other than that, it's very limited as to what this bag's purpose is. And once again, when you do consider the astronomical price tag, it's really only a nighttime and evening bag. And I just can't imagine carrying that to a place that serves beverages. Like, it's making me sweat just thinking about it. And I do have to discuss Chanel Classics, because while they are wildly popular, after this last 2 or 3 price increases, I would say that like the people aren't having it. And I do think that that was done intentionally by Chanel. This is just an independent theory of mine. I don't have any special intel, but I do think that part of their mission and goal in raising the price to the amount that it was is limiting the demand for the bags. First and foremost, I do have to say that like demand and desire are not the same thing. In my eyes, and I'm no economist, but demand is when there actually are people who are going to complete the transaction, who have the money and are willing to spend it on whatever the item is, whereas desire can function independent of how much the thing costs. There are so many things in the world that I would love to have, but you know, if I'm unwilling or unable to actually spend the money on them, then it's kind of irrelevant. And yeah, I think that these price increases were a way to limit the actual demand, the actual like number of people who were going to continue to walk around with brand new Chanel bags in 2023 and beyond. The other thing too is that, and especially when you compare this with Hermes, like people remember when the Chanel Classic Flap was $5,000. The year I started college, I'm pretty sure the Chanel medium was $1,800. People, especially people of this market, people who are roughly my age and maybe older, they remember that, and they remember them being available, and they remember them being less expensive. Now, the Hermes bags, if we want to compare them, Hermes has never been really seen as like attainable or available really, so it just isn't the same thing. Like now, some of them I think are even going on being like less money. When you compare like the maxi at 11.6 or something to a 25 Birkin that is like, I don't know, maybe 10,000. Don't quote me on that. There was like a level of like unattainability always over here, and that wasn't necessarily the case with Chanel. And that Chanel at the price point that it used to be like isn't far off in people's memories. What's really funny nowadays is to see people who like kind of like haven't been paying attention, and like maybe the last time they dipped in or like they bought a bag was back when the classic flap was like, I don't know, call it $5,000. I have one of those. How much are you selling this one for? And I'll read the tag and I'll say $9,995. And I actually have to tell them that now in 2023, that is under retail somehow. I think it was also like a much easier ask for someone to shell out like $4,000. And by the way, bags, classic flaps at like $4,000 if they're in like okay condition, those flying off the shelves, we can barely keep them in stock. But once you get to the newer ones where people actually want the money, they want to get top dollar for them because they're brand new with the microchip, with the stickers on, with everything, those are a lot harder to sell for pretty obvious reasons. So, you know what has a 100% buy rate? The Goyard St. Louis. I wish I could have 100 of them, honestly. Even though it is a big bag, it's a tote, it's very much in the style of the Neverfull, and while that isn't like a style that's really like as like en vogue or like chic as it once was, the Goyard St. Louis is just exclusive enough. People will spend, and they will spend over retail because you can't get them. So anytime I walk into work and know that we have one of those in stock, pretty much like it's being boxed up moments in, I can almost certainly count it as sold. But the crucial point about Goyard is that they make a whole bunch of other bags that are way more expensive than the St. Louis. People don't care about those. They like them as the concept, but when it comes to like spending $4,000+ on something that is made out of their canvas, even though it's thicker and of better materials, they like the 2,500 and less. 25, I think, I want to say is above the retail price, but that's still like a number that people do seem to be a bit more comfortable with. I recently added a Goyard to my wardrobe and I adore it. But yeah, like the totes, the bags, pretty much under like 2,500 and less, those out the door. Another one, very high success rate, YSL in the Lulu style, in the Lou style, in the camera bag, in the Kate clutch, in just anything that's like simple crossbody, roughly middling size with a little bit of logo and maybe in a neutral color. Those will sell. They sell very, very well, and if you ever buy one at retail price and you're not sure on it, it has been my experience. Obviously, this is like situationally dependent, but that they will sell really quickly and for not too far off of retail. Now, outlets for YSL do exist, and I'm very tempted to go to one, even though I'm on a no-buy for bags for the time being, but I feel like there's some good stuff out there and it deserves maybe a space on the shelf, but we'll see. I don't care what anyone says, this is a classic, the Louis Vuitton Neverfull. The reason so many people have it is because it's useful. It serves a function. It's great when you're going to the grocery store or the doctor's office. It's a baby bag, it's a work bag, it's a giant tote that holds all of your crap, and people love them. What can I say? Now, I have that style a couple of times over in my wardrobe, I'm pretty sure, and it is a really popular style. Now, provided they are in good condition and they're not all stained on the inside, they do sell, and you know, they have been pretty successful at going close to their retail price. Now the Neverfull, I want to say, retails for slightly over $2,000, and I haven't seen yet if they're selling at like $1,900 on the resale market, but you know, as long as they're like close to like the anywhere from like 14 to 17 range and they're in good condition, maybe even if they come with a box, like people will like them and people will buy them. And most importantly, they will use them. So this is the Chanel GST. This one has been cemented as a classic. Now, what's great about this bag is that, number one, it's Chanel. You know how they feel about their Chanel. But these are not going for terribly crazy prices. This is a bag that has been discontinued. So I would say that they have made newer styles that are kind of like updated versions of the GST. So the classic GST in some people's minds, I guess, can maybe look a little bit more dated, but it also still is classic enough to be relevant. So there's that, and then there's also the price. The prices on these I rarely see go above 4,000 even if they're brand new. You can find really good deals on these, so it's a practical bag at a good price with a lot of notoriety. It's also really easy to wear. Another super popular bag that people ask for and actually buy is the Deauville. The Deauville is just a really big top handle tote that also has the shoulder chain strap. So it generally tends to have enough like CC on it to be notably and unquestionably Chanel, but it is also a lot more like casual, not so structured, and it definitely serves as like an upper level shopping tote style bag. This is great for casual days, beach days, that kind of thing. And again, practicality, usability, and relatively decent price. Now, sometimes the more new and popular like colors and variations and styles, they might sell at somewhat of a premium above the retail price, but they have been making this bag long enough that enough of them are out there that it kind of like levels the price out a little bit. You know what? I can almost confidently say that I have seen more mini Kellys in the last 2 years than I have Evelyn PMs. Listen, I don't know if that's actually true, but it certainly feels like that. The Evelyn is one of the most favorite bags from Hermes. This is one that people will buy, except everyone has it in their mind that the GM is just the biggest bag ever. I mean, I don't really see it as much bigger. The PM size is super popular. They sell almost immediately. Now, another very popular style is the TPM. I've done a review on the TPM before. I'll leave it linked down below, but they don't really fit all that much. There's a little bit less to them, and I find that they're a little bit too small, but I don't like small bags. I'm not the one to ask. However, the PM size seems to be the perfect middle size on that bag, and when people buy them, they don't tend to let them go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is definitely a reminder to buy whatever it is that you actually like. If you really don't get to engage with bags as often as maybe I do, working with them 40 hours a week, then definitely seek out reviews, look for them on social media, or maybe just ask me in the comments. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's anything else you would like to see, any reviews you would like me to do on any specific bags, or anything you'd like to see regarding the luxury resale industry as a whole. So I'm gonna leave another one of my videos here for your viewing pleasure, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.